Welcome back. Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter and record producer Raphael Saadiq recently released Jimmy Lee, which is his first album in 8 years. The 53-year-old singer has named his new project Jimmy Lee after his older brother who died of heroin overdose. He spoke to our producer Lebo Serache about the new album. Let's take a look at this and enjoy.
He's always in three places. Space is undefined.
Musically, what is this period or stage in your life called?
This period of my career is just me being a grown man, you know, and not a boy anymore. So I'm making sort of like grown man decisions on making records and being a little bolder on records and, you know, saying things that it's not really that bold to me. Just people just, you know, look at it different. You can explain your life a little bit better than you did when you were younger. You know?
Speaking of making records, I read somewhere talking about the album that was released last month, that you had to make this album. You had to make it. Why is that?
I had to make this record because it was just something on my shoulders that was there, and it's like, you know, how much more can I talk about the things that I've been talking about over and over, and it felt very organic for me to talk about drug addiction, and something that's very prevalent in my family gene, family line, and but just once the record was done, I said, oh, I had to make this record. Not that I set out to make it in the beginning. I think it just it came out, and I noticed that it was just pouring out of me, and I just listened to what I was saying, and I just decided to make the record. Yeah.
And having to listen back at it and say, okay, this is the story that I wanted to tell, and were you satisfied to say, this is what I wanted to say, and I've said it the best way I can?
Yeah, I'm very satisfied with it. I feel like I've said it the best I could. I felt like people understand me. They're getting the story. That's more important, because sometimes you can say things and nobody know what you're talking about.
Yes.
But I'm more excited about people actually getting it and understanding it, and they're able to put themselves in my position and be who I am, and that's really important.
Now, and a lot of personal pain has gone into making this album, and you know what you felt at that time or what you were currently going through. This particular title, how hard or how easy was it to come up with this particular title, given the amount of losses that you went through?
I think it was Jimmy Lee, because I use the title Jimmy Lee more because Jimmy Lee was 15 years older than me, and I don't want to say met him, but when he met me as a kid, he was probably already addicted to a chemical, right? Yeah. So as long as I've been knowing him, he's been the way that he is.
Yes.
Everybody else, pretty much, I saw them progress into different things.
Right.
So Jimmy Lee was the one from the get-go that I've seen with an addiction. So I felt like he's the one I didn't really, well, Jimmy Lee, and I have another brother named Alvy.
Yes.
Those are the two people I didn't get to spend a lot of time talking about what they might have been going through. Like, you know, one of my brothers, Alvy, was more, he wasn't addicted to drugs, he was in the business of drugs.
Yeah.
Jimmy was actually addicted to drugs, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him about, you know, what life might have been like, you know, for him to be addicted to some chemical, when I have a lot of friends now that are similar to my brother.
Do you wish you had seen him outside of this person that he had become the drug addict? Do you wish that?
No, I don't wish I would have seen him out of that. I think I have seen him, you know, sober, because, you know, drugs are expensive. He didn't have a lot of money to stay. He just, to stay, you know, that way. But I guess when I seen him, it just wasn't no returning for him to being a regular person, going to a bar and having a beer, or going to a 9-to-5, having a job, taking care of his family the way you would normally take care of your family. So that's what I really didn't get a chance to see. He did have a son and he had a daughter, and I got a chance to see him in a light that wasn't so great because he wasn't the best father because of the addiction. So it would have been nice to see him, be able to, take care of his family and the way somebody naturally would.
Do you think you speak for people that have to survive the addict, like the supporters or that are affected by addiction?
Yeah, I think I'm speaking to people that deal with people with addiction, because when somebody has an addiction, it's just not that person, it's everything around it that we all have to deal with, And sometimes it normalizes, and when that person comes up to you, you can pretty much laugh when they're walking up because it's about to be a story and you're just ready for it. But I do think I put a little light on it a little bit, and so people could kind of like laugh about it instead of being so held down, knocked down by it. Because Jimmy was funny. He's a funny guy. He was smiling. If you saw him, you would just he'd sit here right here and talk to you. He didn't have any problems.
What does your mom think of it?
I think my mother's she's kind of grasping what's going on now, because in the press over there, there's a lot of Jimmy Lee flashing, and her friends, like younger people, are coming up to her saying, "We saw his new album, Jimmy Lee, and it's her son's name," and I don't think she's ever thought she would see his name in the places that she's seeing it. She's seeing him, so I think she's having some closure, and and just knowing like her kid wasn't all in vain. Bringing some light to it, bringing some goodness to his name is what I'm really trying to do. And for other people also that might have a Jimmy Lee in their life, you have to you can't look down on those people, even though they decided to go a different direction. I'm also trying to help them out. Say like if they're here, you should maybe talk to them and see what's going on.
What is music to you right now as things stand? What does it mean? What does it say? What language does it speak?
Music means everything to me now. It's a language that speaks to the heart. It's a direct shot. If you're in the right place, mentally and spiritually yourself, it can get to people that you didn't think that it was going to actually get to.